Hey everyone, today I just do not feel like cooking, so I'm going to head down to Lollipops in downtown Saratoga, Wyoming. They are known for their homemade ice cream and coffee services, but they also serve breakfast and lunch. The restaurant is a really fun place to go because it's reminiscent of an old-fashioned soda shop. They have lots of tables to sit at, but I like to sit at their ice cream bar. It's a literacy-rich restaurant with menu boards all over the walls. There's even one hanging from the ceiling. Today, I'm going to go down there to order some breakfast. I'll have to read the menu boards to see what kind of coffee I'll get, and I'll read the menu to decide on breakfast before the waitress writes down my order. Come on, I'll take you there now. Today, the people involved in this practice are myself and a waitress. The role that I play is to order coffee and food after reading the menu. The waitress's role is to write down orders. She will tell the cook what food was ordered and she will make the coffee herself, which is normal for Lollipops employees. A social resource that a diner must have in this situation would be to understand how to read a menu and how to successfully order food or beverage. On the other side of things, the waitress writes down the orders in a particular way. At this restaurant, different food orders and beverages have specific abbreviations that are known by servers and cooks. To someone that does not normally read those written orders, the writing would be really confusing because they are not exposed to that literate practice on a regular basis. That's another example of a social resource. I think identity can be related to this particular social practice because it represents a person's preferences. By observing how someone orders as well as what they order at a restaurant, that can give somebody insight into what kind of person they are. A person's relationship with food and beverage can speak a lot about their identity and culture in some situations. The particular literacy events that I'm observing are from my perspective. The text most relevant in this practice is the menu with food items provided by the waitress, as well as the menu boards that each serve a particular purpose. One menu board has syrup flavors for coffee drinks, one has coffee options, one has ice cream options, and there are several others. The menu board that I will utilize during this event is the one that has the various coffees and specialty drinks listed on it. In order to successfully read this board, it is being assumed by the employees that the person ordering knows what each drink is because there are no descriptions next to each type of drink. For example, if someone is ordering a latte, it is assumed that they know what a latte is because there is no definition available for someone to read on their own. There are also size options, prices, and symbols to signify extra options for particular drinks. For the food items on the menu provided by the waitress, there are descriptions of the various breakfast items, which is beneficial because the authors of this text have provided information about how they make each breakfast item and what ingredients are used. On the menu, it's easy to read and incorporate simple language into its description of items. Knowledge that's necessary for a person to read this menu is understanding that the description of each food item is next to the name of the item. They can also see the price of each item next to the description. The waitress also has a small notepad that she uses to write down orders. As I watch her, she writes down my order. When she confirms that I have finished ordering, she reads back the information that she wrote down in order to make sure that all parts of the order are correct. I think this is an important part of the social practice of ordering food. On the employee side of the practice, her literacy event proves to not only be writing orders, but also rereading them for affirmation. The literacy event begins when I walk into Lollipops because I see the menu board with coffees hanging above the coffee station. I read that menu and then I grab a seat. After I sit down, a waitress brings me a menu with breakfast food items that I can read. She immediately asks me if I would like something to drink, so I tell her what type of coffee I'd like, and she writes it down on her notepad. As she's preparing my coffee, I read through the menu to see what I would like to eat. When she comes back with my coffee, I'm ready to place my order, so she takes out her notepad again and writes as I order. When she confirms that I am done ordering, she reads back what I ordered to make sure she wrote down the correct item for the cook. When I tell her that sounds great, she brings the order back to the kitchen where she relays the information to the cook. There is a particular order to ordering food. The way in which it happened at Lollipops is very typical of ordering food or a beverage at most restaurants. Usually a drink order is taken first, and then the food order is taken. The event ends when the menus are taken away and the diners wait for their food to be brought to them. Participants of this event know that the event has begun when they have been given a menu to read. If one goes to restaurants, then I would assume that they are understanding of the social practice of what it entails to order food. Also, I believe that it is assumed by waiters or waitresses that their customers comprehend how to read a menu and order appropriately. If not, somebody would typically ask. The sequence of events within this social practice are rather typical. As I look around the restaurant, I don't notice explicit conventions that govern the activity of the participants. There are some more implicit conventions, though. For example, I overheard other diners order regular coffee, and the waitress told them to go ahead and grab it at the coffee station. At this restaurant, there are self-serve coffee vats, and it is implied that customers can go get their own coffee as needed. When the waitress tells a customer to go ahead and grab their coffee, that's the cue that provides the diners with some freedom to get a cup of coffee and refill as needed. They don't need to wait for the waitress. A new customer would not know this is part of Lollipop's routine, though. To learn, they would need to be explicitly told what the convention is in order to participate appropriately in this particular practice. I think through immersion and repetitive practice with these types of rules is how we learn how to understand them in an implicit manner. Sometimes explicit conventions need to occur before the convention can become implicit. As a diner, I learned through plenty of previous experience eating out at restaurants that it is customary to wait for the server to ask you what you would like to order, then you respond to them. This is part of another social practice of eating a meal at a restaurant that becomes the norm the more you repeat this practice. You learn who speaks and when it is appropriate for that person to speak through immersion. The same is true for the literacy event of reading a menu. The more practice a person gets reading menus, then the more comfortable they get when looking at one at other restaurants. Menus may look different, but typically the layout is similar to others. Participants make sense of the text used in this literacy event by understanding what the words on a menu or menu board mean. Background knowledge is a necessity in the full comprehension of a literacy event. The literacy that is used in this social practice of ordering food is used to convey to the diner what options they have when ordering food or beverages. It also relays price and size information. For the waitress that writes down orders, that type of literacy conveys to the customer that the waitress is actively listening to their order and is writing down what they are saying. The act of writing affirms to the customer that they are being heard. I feel as though in today's society, ordering a meal is similar between restaurants even if the social context varies. You read a menu and then you tell the server what you want. No matter what the geographical or cultural context is, though, the proper conventions are learned through practice and immersing oneself into different types of dining experiences. There will always be slight differences in how ordering food or beverages is done at different restaurants. Success in this social practice will occur when there are positive interactions between the customer and the server. The system of a server seating you, providing you with a menu, taking your order has developed over time into a practice that is considered to be the norm in our society as a whole. Many places have similar practices, and I think that helps in cases of traveling to places where you may not speak the same language. The general practice of ordering a meal will more than likely be similar to your society's system of ordering. Wow, I'm stuffed! To be literate in the social practice of ordering food at a restaurant, one must be able to understand how to read a menu. Analyzing the items provided on a menu is a practice that many people participate in. People know how to order because they have had prior experience doing so. Immersion in a particular practice helps people to familiarize themselves with how to successfully engage in the literacy events involved in that practice. Reading a menu fits under the ideological model of literacy because how it is done is based on the social context that a person is in, and communicating with others is key. The act of reading a menu does not dictate how a person orders, therefore it has to be an ideological practice. In this particular practice of ordering food, they say the customer is always right, but I think the server holds the real power. They have to make sense of what the customer is saying and write down that information. The way in which they interpret the diner is what will make the whole practice of ordering a meal successful. Thanks for coming with me to Lollipops. See you later!